Hello everybody, I'm Alex Zucker here, reporting for Alliance Television, and I am joined right now by two very prominent political figures, Reverend Jesse Jackson and Mr. Ralph Nader. Guys, we just want to say thank you so much for being here at PCNJ, and it is truly a pleasure to speak with you guys this evening. The first question I'd just like to ask you guys is, we hear a lot of discussion about winning the future right now. We hear this coming from the White House a lot. And we all know that that means investing in education, infrastructure, alternative energy, things that could benefit our economy in the future. But at the same time, there's an opposition that talks about our federal deficit. We have a $1 trillion federal deficit and a large federal debt. Which one of these two should we pursue? Because obviously winning money, and we want to try to trim our debt.
Well, how we're treating students is a moral deficit that drives the fiscal deficit. Student loan debt forgiveness would be a big step toward the future. It'd be a big step to unleashing a body of able, qualified people to take us in the future with a skill set. Student loan debt is greater than credit card debt. So many very able students will not apply to school. Others get in and can't stay in. Others graduate with a guaranteed debt without a guaranteed job, and they therefore leave school with a low credit score and debt and pay more for less the rest of their lives. So it starts to me with a real commitment to student loan debt forgiveness. The other part, of course, is that the administration are cutting back on pre-K. Prenatal care, Head Start and daycare on the front side, stops jail care and welfare on the back side. So to me, that is the future. Some of the brilliant youth can't get in school, others can't get out of jail.
I mean, just from what I've seen, it's just a very sad predicament because a lot of middle-class people can't afford college. I mean, what do you think the government can do to make the college education more affordable in this country?
Well, it's what we can do to make the government do that, because the government represents corporate interests.
Exactly.
As Jesse said, the whole student loan racket was headed by Sallie Mae Corporation, which was charging the students outrageous interest rates, and if the students defaulted, Sallie Mae went to Washington, taxpayer picked up the bill. So the issue is not what the government can do, because the government is a corporate government. We've got to take the government away from the corporations, and then a whole area of reality opens up. Like, there shouldn't be any deficit. Why should there be a deficit? You bring home the wars from Afghanistan and the soldiers and Iraq. You eliminate all the corporate subsidies and welfare and bailouts. You cut the Pentagon budget, which is double at least what even some analysts think it should be. And there's no deficit. It's a deficit created by the seizure of the budget priorities of the U.S. government by Wall Street and the other multinationals. So the real way to answer your question is you start, as Jesse did, from your own perspective. You're going to crawl through life on your knees. You're going to have your jobs outsourced. Almost anything that goes through software, including law, engineering, computer design, even media, is going to be outsourced. Yeah. And the issue is, how do you mobilize your voting power and your political power to make the government represent your legitimate interests?
Also, the banking collapse was not natural. That was driven by lack of oversight and greed. And when the corruption comes in, it seems to me if your school was playing Y school in a ball game, the referees from one was on the payroll of one of the schools, you couldn't trust the outcome. So the congressional leaders were either raising money on Wall Street or looking for a job there as a consultant. And the referees ceased to monitor what was a game became a brawl, and so the banks collapsed on their own greed. They made a profit from the greed. They made a profit from the bailout.
Exactly.
Now they're getting bonuses after having been bailed out by the government. But the people that drove into bankruptcy, homeowners, are still facing rising home foreclosures. But more than that, their next door neighbors face on the water.
Yeah.
They then lose their tax base, then they can't fund teachers, policemen, firemen, librarians, social services. And so those who engage in this act of greed have been rewarded, none have been punished.
Yeah.
The best way to start is your government courses. You have a course on Congress. And semester after semester, you study your senators and representatives, hold them accountable. You inject issues to them. And look at all the colleges and universities that can do that, see? So by the time you get out, you're a skilled citizen. You know how to deconstruct power. For example, now the administration says we have to put money in investment for jobs, technology, and education, as you pointed out, right? Well, the government has put money into solar energy technology. Where is the solar energy industry going? To China. It's like they can't wait to shut down plants. One just recently is being shut down in Massachusetts, Evergreen Solar, and send it to China, because China's got serf labor. They give them all kinds of capital. They give them all kinds of free land, and there's no way that our country's protecting American workers from U.S. companies hollowing out jobs, including white-collar jobs, hollowing out communities, and shipping them to repressive dictatorships who know how to keep workers in their place. So just from your own courses, and you get credit for this, instead of having these abstract political science government courses, which are, when they get down to legislation, are largely memorization, you say, okay, this course for the duration, year after year, is going to be called Congressional Watchdog 101. See, and you'll see how you grow. You'll see how they respond to you, the senators, the representatives. You get to know how the law is used as an instrument of oppression, not an instrument of justice. So you might want to ask, why isn't this done? It's simple. Yeah. It doesn't require new buildings, doesn't require new labs, because the universities are corporatized.
Exactly.
There's a taboo from getting you an education that defines freedom as Cicero defined it over 2,000 years ago. Freedom, Cicero said, is participation in power. Isn't that a great definition? See?
Sounds like one good to me.
See? Freedom is participation in power.
So one last quick question, because I know we're running out of time. Based on what you guys have said, and it's a tough outlook for kids of our age who want to be successful in this economy and find good jobs. What would you guys say is, or what sort of advice could you guys give college students who are in public universities like the College of New Jersey? And what do we have to do to be successful in a future American economy and a future global economy?
This week, 1965, students led the march across the bridge in Selma for the right to vote. Not their professors. There was no professor on that bridge. There was no Hollywood star on that bridge. There were no lawyers on that bridge, no ministers of big churches on that bridge. John Lewis and Jose and some rather nameless, faceless people led that march for dignity. And that march unleashed a whole dynamic in the Western world. Let us not forget, it's seen as a march for blacks only. It's not accurate. There's no more than blacks died. Surrounded good Katrina, 2 Jews and black were killed in that season. Valerie, so a white Italian American mother was killed in that season. Jonathan Howes was killed in that season. So blacks, white, Jews, and Gentiles died together. But white women couldn't serve on juries. They got their right to vote too. White farmers who couldn't pay poll taxes got their right to vote too. 18-year-olds by 1970 got their right to vote too. Students had the right to vote on campus. On this campus, every student on this campus, every student here, be registered voter. Between the 6,500 who attend here and the workers, if you have a place in Ewing where 7,000 people are registered to vote, you will determine the congressperson. From here, you have the right to vote where you attend school. That came out of the 1974 suit. Then by multilingual voting, more than just English. And I ran in 84 and 88. I noticed I had a lot more popular votes than I had delegate votes. We fought for something called proportionality, as opposed to winner take all. The result is that this time around, Hillary Clinton won California by a small margin, Ohio by a small margin, Texas and Pennsylvania. Under the Republican rule, the old rules, she would have been the nominee.
Exactly.
But we democratized democracy. And with proportionality, President Barack emerged as the winner. All was led by students. And so when students come alive and use their collective political strength to define their freedom, they are the transformers. I mean, what's happening in Egypt? A young man was slapped, he felt violated. Then he sacrificed after he was beaten and demolished himself. It's changing the whole world because young people sacrifice, came alive.
And getting involved too, because if you get involved in the political system and raise a voice, that seems like it could affect the government and in turn affect the country.
No excuses.
You may be cushioned from this sense of sacrifice. On these campuses today, if you still have the draft,
Yeah.
and 5 or 10 of your classmates have been drafted, 4 or 5 have been killed, you'll be marching.
Absolutely.
Right now, the war is academic. It's a backdoor draft for poor people. It just comes out of West Virginia, good student, can't get a job, can't afford to go to college to go to the military. It's called backdoor draft. So today, the backdoor draft stacks the cards toward poor people and those who can go to college to simply have a philosophical position for or against the war, where there is no blood and no sacrifice and therefore no results.
Well, we certainly appreciate your input on this topic. It's a very important topic in American politics today. And as I said before, thank you so much for doing this. Really appreciate you guys being here and offering your thoughts on the economy, because we are concerned as students. We appreciate the input. So, Mr. Nader, a pleasure.
For the curriculum change.
Mr. Jackson, thank you so much.
Student loan debt forgiveness.
Thanks a lot. All right, I'm Alex Zucker for Lions Television. And Mr. Nader and Mr. Jackson, thanks a lot, guys.